Gregorio Honasan II will lead the chamber in prayer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ama namin, sa harap ng mga banta sa kapayapaan at kaayusan, kalayaan, katotohanan, at ang buhay ng aming mga kabataan. Gabayan po ninyo kami upang magkaisa at manatiling tapat sa aming sinumpaang tungkulin na pangalagaan ang karapatan at kapakanan ng mamamayan. Tulungan po ninyo kami upang maging mapagmahal sa inyo, sa inang bayan at sa kapwa. Bigyan po ninyo kami ng tibay ng kalooban at tatag ng paninindigan upang patuloy na mapalaganap ang pag-unawa, pagpapatawad at pagtutulungan upang maibsan ang kahirapan tungo sa pambansang kaunlaran. Siya nawa.
Amen. Secretary, please call the roll.
The Honorable Senators Angara, Aquino, Binay, Dilima, Drilon, Ejercito, Escudero, Gatchalian, Gordon, Honasan, Ontiveros, Lacson, Ligarda, Pacquiao, Pangilinan po, Recto, Soto, Trillanes, Villanueva, Villar, Soveri, Senate President Pimentel.
With 18 senators present, the chair declares the presence of a quorum. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move that we dispense with the reading of the journal of the 50th session, Tuesday, January 30, 2018, and consider the same as approved.
Is there any objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
Mr. President, we'd like to greet visitors of Senator Pacquiao, guests of the Senate. Mr. Nathan Lapan-Kyo, the finance manager from Enga, Papua New Guinea. Also, we'd like to welcome the senior high school graduating students and senior high school faculty from De La Salle, Dasmariñas, headed by Mr. Joseph Mervin Dadap. And also visitors from the Philippine Sports Commission of Senator Pacquiao. Chairman Butch Ramirez, Director Mark Velasco, and Ms. Merly Ibay. Would like to welcome them to the Senate, Mr. President.
Welcome to all of our guests.
Mr. President, I move that we proceed with the reference of business.
Any objection? Hearing none, approved. Secretary, please.
Bills on first reading. 1671, an act amending sections 106, 107, 108, 109, and 112 of Republic Act number 8424, otherwise known as the Tax Reform Act of 1997 as amended, and for other purposes, Senator Risa Monteveros.
Referred to the Committee on Ways and Means.
1672, an act creating the Metro Bataan Development Authority, defining its powers and functions, providing funds therefore and for other purposes, Senator Soveri.
To the Committees on Government Corporations and Public Enterprises, Economic Affairs and Finance.
Resolution. Peace Resolution number 597, a resolution directing the appropriate Senate committees to conduct an assessment of the implementation of the unconditional cash transfer under the Tax Reform for Acceleration and Inclusion Law. Senator Paulo Benigno Bamakino.
To the Committees on Ways and Means and Social Justice, Welfare and Rural Development.
Communications, letters from the Office of the President of the Philippines, transmitting to the Senate two original copies of the following Republic Acts and joint resolution which were signed by President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, Republic Act number 10967, entitled An Act Creating a Barangay to be known as Barangay Pudo in the Municipality of Natunin, Mountain Province, Republic Act number 10968, an act institutionalizing the Philippine Qualifications Framework, establishing the PQF National Coordinating Council, and appropriating funds therefore, and joint resolution number 01, joint resolution authorizing the increase in base pay of military and uniformed personnel in the government and for other purposes.
To the Archives.
Additional reference of business resolution, PS resolution number 598, resolution expressing the sense of the Senate to support President Rodrigo Roa Duterte's policy to permanently ban open-pit mining in the Philippines, Senator Aquilino Coco Pimentel III.
To the Committee on Rules. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move to transfer from the calendar for ordinary business to the calendar for special orders, Senate Bill 1515 under Committee Report 214.
Any objection? Hearing none, approved.
I move to consider Senate Bill 1515 under Committee Report 214.
Any objection? Hearing none, approved.
We ask the Secretary to read the
Secretary,
title of
please
the
do
measure.
so.
An act strengthening the Philippine Sports Commission, amending for the purpose Republic Act number 6847, otherwise known as the Philippine Sports Commission Act.
Mr. President, to sponsor the measure, may we ask the Chair of the Committee on Sports, Senator Manny Pacquiao, be recognized.
The Chairman of the Committee on Sports, Senator Manny Pacquiao, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President, Floor Leader, fellow public servants sa inyong tanan, mayong hapon. Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. As the chairperson of the Committee on Sports, I respectfully push for the approval of Senate Bill number 1515 under Committee Report 214, an act strengthening the Philippine Sports Commission, amending for the purpose Republic Act number 6847, otherwise known as the Philippine Sports Commission Act. This legislation was prepared in conjunction with the Committee on Ways and Means and the Committee of Finance. It has been more than 25 years since the country formally recognized sports as an integral part of the citizens' physical and mental fitness. It was on January 24, 1990, Mr. President, when the government made the move to recognize the developments in the international sporting arena. President Corazon Aquino signed into law Republic Act number 6847, which gave birth to a Philippine Sports Commission. Through the years, Philippine Sports Commission has established various programs and events that harness the potential amateur athletes such as Ilma Moros, Unyok Velasco, Ruel Velasco, Lydia De Vega, Mona Suliman, Paing Nepomuceno, Eugene Turi, to name a few. Through the Philippine Sports Commission, the country was able to develop an elite sports program by providing basic training requirements and training venue for our homegrown athletes. But the time has come to revisit this outdated law. Let's face it, we have not been performing well in recent international sporting tournaments. We have a deep function of talents among our hardworking athletes. We are not even lacking in skills. Our heart for sport is as big as any superstar player we have ever seen. It took 20 years for the Philippines to win a medal in the Olympics, courtesy of Hidilyn Diaz after Mansueto Unyok Velasco won a silver medal at the 1996 Olympics. So what went wrong, Mr. President? One reason is budget allocation. Kulilat tayo sa budget, Mr. President. Ang ating PEC kulilat sa budget, mali. Napakaliit lang ng budget. Another reason is the poor sports facilities in our country. They are dilapidated and outdated, Mr. President. Without the proper support from the national government and without the necessary training program, pure talent can only achieve so much. Mr. President, it is high time we amend our existing law to better address the needs of our brave athletes. We need to strengthen the role of the PEC as an institution governing our national sports program. This proposed legislation aims to strengthen the Philippine Sports Commission so that it can be more responsive to the growing needs of Philippine sports. This would give PEC a more defined function in the field of grassroots development, sports science, sports medicine, sports services, and research. One of the salient points we wish to institutionalize, Mr. President, is giving priority to our amateur athletes, our homegrown talents that we do for elite athletes. This ensures that every athlete with potential shall be given equal opportunity to showcase their talent and represent our country. The role of the Philippine Sports Commission as a whole must be strengthened through partnerships with different stakeholders such as the Department of Education, Commission on Higher Education, local government units, among others. Legislating this will finally institutionalize the partnerships because that status quo is only dependent on executive orders or memorandum that may be revoked anytime at the will of the issuing authority. Yes, our goal is to bring home that highly elusive gold medal in the Olympics. Yes, it is our aim to cement our flag in the podium for every international sporting tournament. Ultimately, our goal is to promote excellence among our people. Mens sana and corpore sano, strong mind, strong body. Mr. President, it is time to act on this legislation with the need to promote updated sports policies and comprehensive sports development program. I humbly request for the immediate approval of this measure. Together, let us start growing global champions. Maraming salamat, Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
Mr. President, may I have a 1-minute suspension, Mr. President?
Session is suspended. Session is resumed.
Thank you, Mr. President. To give time to the other senators to study the measure, I move to suspend consideration of Senate Bill 1515 under Committee Report 214.
Any objection? Hearing none, approved.
Mr. President, I move to resume consideration of Senate Bill 190 under Committee Report 1623.
Any objection? Hearing none, approved.
Mr. President, this is the measure on the Recoverable System Laws Act. The parliamentary status of the measure is that we are now in the period of individual amendments, considering that this is a substitute bill. So I move to open the period of individual amendments.
What is the pleasure of Senator Ontiveros? What is?
After my motion, Mr. President.
Okay, there's a motion, so any objection? Hearing none, approved.
I move to recognize the sponsor of the measure, the Chair of the Committee on Energy, Senator Win Gatchalian.
The sponsor is recognized, Senator Gatchalian.
May we now recognize Senator Ontiveros, Mr.
Okay,
President.
Senator Ontiveros for interpellation. For, what is this? What period are we in?
Individual
For
amendments.
individual amendments, Senator Ontiveros.
Thank you, Mr. President and Mr. Majority Leader. Good sponsor, Mr. President, I would like to propose an amendment in Section 2 on page 1, line 5. After the phrase, "It is hereby declared the policy of the state," to insert the phrase, "protect and enhance the right of all the people to human dignity and reduce social, economic, and political inequality by equitably diffusing wealth and political power for the common good. Thus, the state shall ensure the quality, reliability, security, and affordability of supply of electric power," and so on, Mr. President. In order, a good sponsor, to propose an amendment in line with my earlier interpellation to reflect in this bill the concepts and aspirations of social protection as they are being advocated today. I so move, Mr. President.
What is the position of the sponsor?
I accept, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, approved.
Thank you, good sponsor. Thank you, Mr. President.
Anybody else?
Mr. President, I have a few amendments, Mr. President. On page 4, line 35, after the word "to" and before the word "administrative," insert the following word. Insert the word "following." I so move, Mr. President.
It will now read subject the DUs to following administrative penalties.
Subject the DUs to the following, Mr. President.
To the following. The words to the following. Okay. Any objection? Hearing none, approved.
Still on the same page, Mr. President.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader?
before we go to the next amendment, may I be clarified again on that particular last line from line 34 on page 4 to line 37? It will now read, "Failure to comply with this section shall subject the DUs to the following to administrative penalties." That's how it will read.
To the following administrative penalties.
To the following administrative
That's-
penalties.
yes. Tama.
Including but not limited to.
Yes. So,
Yeah, see. Nasaan yung following, Mr. President?
Mr. President, I will read the succeeding amendments, Mr. President.
it will follow? Okay, if we are amending one sentence, can we state in one motion all of the amendments to that sentence? Is that possible?
Yes, Mr. President.
Line or sentence, yes. Okay. Please go ahead.
Still on the same page and line, after the word penalties,
That's it. After the word penalties. Go ahead, sir.
insert the phrase, colon, a fine of 300,000 Philippine pesos, open parentheses, 300,000, close parentheses, on the first violation, comma, a fine of 400,000 Philippine pesos, open parentheses, 400,000, close parentheses, on the second violation, and a fine of second violation, comma, and a fine of 500,000 Philippine pesos, open parentheses, 500,000, close parentheses, on the third and subsequent violations, colon, provided, comma, that ERC can increase the aforementioned amounts, colon, provided further, comma, on the third and succeeding violations, comma, a DU shall be disqualified from applying for an individualized system loss cap until it has complied with all the documentary requirements in this section, period. Also move, Mr. President.
What happens to including but not limited to? Wait, can we ask? Because you ended with the period, what will happen to this comma?
Mr. President, 1 minute suspension.
Session suspension.
While you're,
Yes,
before
not
you
yet,
call
not
the
yet.
suspension, Mr. President,
Majority
the minority leader and the majority leader are asking for a copy of that
Yes.
proposed amendment, Mr. President.
It's quite a lengthy.
During the suspension, we
amendment,
can
yes.
probably-
Okay, session is suspended.
saying, you should have the experts analyze this every time they can and go to media and destroy the reputation of people.
Kumain kayo? Merienda kayo?
ready na.
Ready?
Huh?
Session is resumed. The sponsor has the floor, and I have not acted upon your proposed amendment, so if you want to restate it,
Yes, Mr.
please
President.
do so. Yes.
With the kind indulgence of the body, I will restate my individual amendments from the beginning, Mr. President.
Go ahead, sir.
On page 4, line 35, after the word "to" and before the word "administrative," insert the words "the following." So move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Anyway, there will be a subsequent amendment.
Yes,
Any,
Mr.
any objection? Hearing none, approved.
Still on the same page and line, after the word "penalties," insert the phrase colon, a fine of 300,000 pesos, open parentheses, 300,000, close parentheses, on the first violation, comma, a fine of 400,000 Philippine pesos, open parentheses, 400,000, close parentheses, on the second violation, comma, and a fine of 500,000 Philippine pesos, open parentheses, 500,000, close parentheses, on the third and subsequent violations, colon, provided, comma, that ERC, after notice, comma, hearing, comma, and publication, may provide for a new schedule of penalties, colon, provided further, comma, on the third and succeeding violations, comma, a DU shall be disqualified from applying for an individualized system loss cap until it has complied with all the documentary requirements in this section, period. I so move,
Okay.
Mr. President.
Can the chair suggest that we drop the word Philippine from Philippine pesos and just stick to pesos?
Yes, yes, Mr. President.
With that little adjustment. Any objection? Hearing none, approved.
On page 4, line 35, delete the phrase starting with the word including until line 37, the word ERC. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, approved. Plus the comma. Ha? Plus the
On
comma.
page 4,
Delete yung comma.
line 37, insert a new paragraph that reads, any DU that submits false and/or fraudulent information and/or document shall pay 1 million pesos, open parentheses, 1 million, on the first, close parentheses, on the first violation, comma, 2 million pesos, open parentheses, 2 million, close parentheses, on the second violation, comma, and 3 million Philippine pesos, 3 million pesos, open parentheses, 3 million, close parentheses, on the third violation, as well as ERC's automatic recommendation to the Joint Congressional Power Commission to revoke the DU's franchise, colon, provided that ERC, after notice, comma, hearing, comma, and publication, may provide for a new schedule of penalties, colon, provided further, comma, that this is without prejudice to administrative, comma, civil, comma, and criminal liabilities against individual / S responsible for the submission of false and/or fraudulent information and/or documents, period. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, approved.
That's it, Mr. President.
Any other individual amendments to this measure? Majority Leader?
There are no more individual amendments, Mr. President. I move to close the period of individual amendments.
Any objection? Hearing none, we close the said period.
Mr. President, I move to approve on second reading Senate Bill 190 under, Senate Bill 1623 under Committee Report 190.
Any objection? Hearing none, approved.
Thank you. Mr. President, I move to suspend consideration of Senate Bill 1623.
Any objection? Approved.
Mr. President, I move to adjourn the session until 3 o'clock in the afternoon of Monday, February 5, 2018.
Is there any objection? There being none, session is adjourned until 3 o'clock in the afternoon of Monday, February 5, 2018.